And we're back. Still connected. We are back. Hello, Gene. Welcome back. I hope this is better. I actually moved because I couldn't get a go live thing. So I came to a slightly different location, about 200 yards away. Hey, thank you for the super hearts, Gene. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Hello, Micah. Welcome to the Scope. Thank you for inviting and for tweeting. Thank you very much, Micah. Hello, Dale. Welcome back. Okay. Smiling Sue. It's Terry, right? I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. And there's Dorota, the Sunshine Girl. Welcome to the Scope. Welcome to the Scope. Come on in. Pretty sunset. Yes, it is. I've got it right. Okay. Did I get the 999 hearts? Oh, I'm not watching I can't watch the count right now. I have to take it. I would have to go offline to see it. Hey, Keith. Welcome to the Scope. Hello, Sunshine Girl. Hello, Keith. Hello, Terry. Percano. Welcome to the Scope, Percano. All right. Well, now that we had to reset the Scope, we're going to get started here. Instead of the usual sing and... Okay, great. Ron is here with us. Excellent. Welcome, Ron. I would appreciate if you, if everybody who hasn't already, please tweet to Twitter and invite your followers. Just like Ron is doing now. Thank you, Ron. That's Duty Ron right there. Okay. Instead of the usual sing and dance stuff, we're going to talk about a little something just a hair more serious. Hello, Percano. I was given an article, a Mashable article from a Periscope friend today, and I'm going to leave names out of it except where the article references the name specifically. Then I will say who it is, because it's not me saying it, it's the article saying it. That way I can try not to inflame by adding any of my own bias or any of my own issues to it. And believe me, I've got issues, and we're not going to talk about that either today. The article is from Mashable, and it's called "As Twitter Stock Soars, Its Video App Periscope is Drowning." And this article came out today in Mashable. When Twitter announced it had acquired Periscope in March 2015, the app was full of promise. It was one of the first to let anyone broadcast video of themselves live from anywhere in the world using just a smartphone. It also let them interact with viewers through real-time comments and a little heart button used to express that you liked someone's video. By the end of 2015, Apple crowned Periscope the iOS app of the year, and Twitter had a hit on its hands. But 3 years later, Periscope is a shell of its former self. The internet celebrities who once dedicated much of their time to Periscope have mostly abandoned it, choosing to invest time into Facebook Live instead, or to quit streaming altogether. Those who have continued using the service have expressed frustrations with Twitter and its commitment to the community. Ask any Periscope user what it's like in 2018, and you'll hear wild stories about backstabbing, abandonment, and generally being mistreated by the community and the company. Now Periscope is basically now Periscope is basically a wasteland of forgotten streamers driven by the fame-obsessed personalities who refuse to let it go. Twitter has all but abandoned the app. The word Periscope was not even mentioned during Twitter's 2017 earnings call on Thursday, when it was reported profitability for the first time ever, nor was it said during the previous quarter's call. The company hasn't rolled out a significant update in years, other than a small monetization feature that debuted last June. The last time Periscope was part of a major cultural movement was back in 2016, when Democrats used Periscope to promote their sit-in congressional protest. Now it seems the only conversations about the app are centered around its child pornography and bullying problem. But there is still a small group of dedicated users who enjoy using the app and yet still question its future. Periscope is the greatest app ever, says Ron Waxman, a full-time sports agent who tries to stream every day with Periscope and typically gathers an audience of about 100 people. The problem is that it is run by kids like a kids club, says Waxman. Back in April 2015, Waxman joined Periscope and started streaming regularly from New York City, attracting more than 34,000 followers. At 2 a.m. on a recent chilly evening, Waxman stood on a rooftop on the Upper East Side. To a passerby, it might have seemed like he was talking to himself. But with his iPhone in hand and arm stretched out, Waxman was speaking with 60 people at the time via Periscope. He's since been nominated for a 2018 Shorty Award as Live Streamer of the Year. Just a second, I'm going to take a sip of water. Well, I was given the article. The article was not written by or controlled by me in any way. I just learned of the article today, and it is interesting stuff. It also, if you think about it, it fills in some questions that you may have about some things that are going on. So now I'm going to continue. And yet, earlier that evening, we're sitting in the first floor of the apartment complex where he streams and talks about his grievances with the app that has also brought him so much joy. Waxman emphasized the lack of respect he feels Periscope headquarters has for creators such as himself. Despite having the right credentials to be admitted into the Periscope VIP program, he was not granted access until after a 60-day probation, reasons unknown to him. He was also recently removed from the VIP community's Slack channel managed by Periscope. Again, exact reasons unclear to him. Okay. It's uncommon to bite the hand that feeds it in the world of internet superstardom, especially when you're an active user who is verified and can therefore make money through the free-to-use app. But this is Periscope in 2018, and this is Ron Waxman, who openly talks about Periscope's problems on the app and on Twitter. When Twitter first acquired Periscope, it focused on building a devoted community of streamers that would regularly create their own videos and build an audience. But much of the downfall of Twitter's now defunct app Vine, a lack of communication with content creators, has caused turmoil. Other creator-driven platforms like YouTube and Snapchat have their own problems, but Twitter's reputation for neglecting its popular creators has its own community asking, why hasn't Periscope gone to the app graveyard? Oh, there goes the sun. Okay. And actually, it's getting a little darker, so give me just a moment, because I'm going to switch from my sunglasses to my regular glasses. Okay, we're now in the next section of the article. This is called Bringing People Together, is the title of the section. At its core, Periscope was about connecting people all around the world. People fell in love with an app that let them stream from anywhere, easily, as long as they had a smartphone. I joined it because it gives me something to do when I'm bored or I want to do something with art. Jessica Blaumer, a 21-year-old student from Portland, Oregon, told Mashable. My friend introduced me to it and got me addicted to it. In the summer of 2015, Jean-Jacques quit his job at video marketing company to Periscope full-time. Periscope was very good to me as a platform. I had more than 100,000 followers. Ellen DeGeneres signed me on a video series. I got to interview Chris Helmsworth on the red carpet. It really opened up a lot of doors for me, Jacques said. It was only a matter of time before the newly formed Periscope community came together in person. Back in September 2015, Ryan Bell ran the first Periscope Summit and attracted hundreds of Periscope users like Mitch Oates, an Australian photographer and surfer, and Amanda Oleander, a painter from Los Angeles, who became the first Periscope star signed by a major talent agency. Periscope, the community, wasn't an official sponsor for these community-driven events, but it did show gratitude by paying the New York City event's bar tab. They also sent employees to the second event in San Francisco and had the community manager speak at the third in Los Angeles. I'm sure I make sure we send love to people who share awesome content. That'll be a lot harder as we get bigger and bigger, but those people will become advocates for us down the line. Periscope's former community manager, Lily Salzberg, told me in January of 2016. Salzberg left in April 2017. By the way, after the scope, if anybody would like the article, I'll be happy to send you a link. Just send me a DM on Twitter, and I'll reply to it with the link to the article so that you can read it on your own as well. I was each of these community-driven events in New York City. I recorded my first Periscope with attendees John Ehrlichman and Jeff Goldberg, who at the time were two of the most followed and watched users. That video stream is no longer available. Back then, videos disappeared. Since then, has so much of the talent who used Periscope. Oates and Oleander still broadcast on the app and earn money through digital tips called Super Hearts on the app. Earlier this week, Oates streamed from the top of a mountain in the Philippines, and Oleander streamed after finishing her first tattoo removal. But other familiar faces are mostly gone. Ehrlichman is still on camera, anchoring Canada's Business News Network. Goldberg, on the other hand, is permanently suspended from Periscope. He described his experience in a Medium post in April 2017. To this day, Goldberg doesn't know exactly why his account was disabled. Transparency, proper communication, and accountability have been issues with Periscope since day one and continue to be so, Goldberg told Mashable. Okay, now I'm at the next section of the article called Blowing the Whistle. No app is perfect, but when it comes to Periscope's problems, the lack of communication has largely frustrated the community that uses it. Goldberg has used Twitter and Periscope to share his concerns. One point of contention was simply a product feature. How does Periscope define a video view? Broadcasters had been confused about how views added up when scopes could be watched in-app, on desktop, and on Apple TV. After Inc. magazines reported Goldberg's concern, Periscope finally released a page in its help center that described the process. Separately, active users on Periscope quickly became aware of the app's ongoing child pornography problem. There's a copy of a tweet in the article from Jesse Watson 38. I guess people really don't care about all the child grooming going on. It could be your child being recorded and shared between older men, but who cares, right? That work promotion is much more important. Hashtag child trafficking. Hashtag pedogate. Hashtag Periscope. Hashtag pedophiles. At Periscope help. Okay, that's the completion of that tweet. Now let's go back and see if we can finish up this article. All over these platforms are people cultivating and grooming children, said Ryan Miller, an active Periscope user who runs Parent Dome, a resource center about children's safety on the internet. He streamed his decision to leave Periscope on Periscope last week. Periscope is lacking resources to respond to the volume of problematic viewers and broadcasts outside of the terms of service agreement, he said. The restricted visibility of broadcasts or censorship of certain content. There was no way to specifically report an underage user on Periscope until November 2017, when Periscope added more options. That came after years of pressure from vocal users like Miller and Goldberg. App features like the First Scope feed may have been fun for new users, but as Goldberg noted, was also an easy way for men to prey on young women. Goldberg streamed and tweeted about his concerns. Slate spoke with Goldberg and published a piece about the minor problem, that's in quotes, quote, minor problem, quote, in December 2017. Gizmodo later uncovered 50 accounts soliciting sexualized images of minors in one afternoon. Wow, 50 in one afternoon. I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. A Twitter spokesperson pointed Mashable to a November 2017 Medium post. When asked about the issue, the page reads, "Keeping people safe on Periscope is our top priority. Our committed team works around the clock to ensure content on our service meets our community guidelines," unquote. The spokesperson declined to elaborate on how big the moderation team is, but said reported broadcasts are reviewed by the team 24/7 worldwide. For all his trouble, Goldberg's Periscope account is still suspended. He doesn't know why exactly. But he's still active on Twitter, although his account is marked as containing, quote, sensitive material, unquote. But he's not done speaking out. Now here is a tweet from Periscope Help responding to that first tweet I read you from that guy Jesse. Yeah, replying to Jesse Watson 38. Hi Jesse, thanks for reaching out to us. If you haven't already, you can read an update on our safety efforts here. Medium.com/@PeriscopeHelp. If you have additional questions or concerns after reading this, please email safety@periscope.tv. Now is a tweet from Jeff Goldberg. Yes. Emailing safety@periscope.tv does nothing. Cookie cutter answers which don't even address questions are being asked are always provided. Zero accountability from @KAYVZ, which is Kayvon's account, who frankly deserves to be in jail. Now, this is according to Jeff Goldberg. This is not my tweet, it's his. Now, that is where the tweet ends, and I'm going to go back to the article. I felt the only way to get Twitter to not simply pretend they were unaware of the issues was to start tagging them on Twitter. I didn't want to allow them the chance to play stupid, Goldberg told Mashable. And yet other Periscope users have called out whistleblowers like Waxman and Goldberg and labeled them as bullies of Periscope. Active Periscope user Dave, aka @DVS71 Chicago, that's somebody that most of us probably know. I know who that is. I've seen him on many scopes, and many of you know him also. That's Chicago Dave, who is verified, streamed about the issue earlier this week. That was the big the big scope that he just did. It's easy to just say get off this platform, but this platform is supposed to be safe. What's the purpose of having community guidelines if they're not being enforced? He said in his recent stream from his Periscope account. There have been a number of people who don't broadcast anymore because they've been called out. On the broadcast, he said, there's been a lot of people who have done me wrong in life, but I'm not going to go out on a blowhorn and call them out. Dave later retweeted this tweet specifically about Waxman. Now here is a tweet from Tiffany Foster Grant, replying to @Marty8888NYC and 3 others. Sadly, this is the new strategy for fame and popularity. He's trying to be the Howard Stern or Rush Limbaugh of Periscope, of #Periscope, @Periscope TV. What we need to do is write a petition asking the Shorty Awards to remove him from consideration. And that's the end of the tweet. Periscope needs to step up and support the people who are reporting abuse, Dave said at the end of the scope. I gotta go, I gotta get to work. Oh, I guess that was the end then. Next section, an unclear future. During Periscope's early days, there was an intentional division between it and its parent company Twitter, but that separation is gone, even as the standalone apps persist. The Periscope team originally had its own separate office from the Twitter headquarters in San Francisco. Back in January 2016, they had 28 people on the team working in that office. Later on, they were moved to Twitter headquarters. Now Twitter is unable to provide an actual number of Periscope dedicated staffers. Periscope is considered, quote, one product within the video, quote, department, and Twitter employees frequently move between projects, a spokesperson told Mashable. A recent job description for a web software engineer for the consumer video client highlights that blend. Kayvon Beckpour, the founder of Periscope and former CEO, is now the general manager of video at Twitter. This includes Periscope. Periscope is also losing its prominence in the digital conversations among entertainers, advertisers, and within the company. Still, a handful of dedicated users keep streaming. Periscope made it so anyone could go live with one click, and it created a ton of live streamers out of people who had never live streamed before, said Greg Gallant, creator of the Shorty Awards. And yet now in 2018, people can choose from a plethora of streaming services, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and Amazon's Twitch. Jacques, who had quit his job to Periscope full-time, ended up launching Applause, a company dedicated to pairing live streamers with brands. He ran it from August 2015 to the end of 2016 and coordinated with brands like Kate Spade, Starwood Hotels and Resort, and Bose. Now Jacques focuses his attention on growing his own audience on Facebook. Ooh, that's getting dark. Okay. Look at that color. It's beautiful up there. Audience on Facebook. Ready. Okay. Facebook's shareability has been huge. You can reach billions of people and tap into new audiences, Jacques said. He said his Facebook videos have had between 1 million to 20 million views. Meanwhile, his Periscope broadcasts averaged 1,000 to 8,000 views. For Jacques, it's not just about the scale. He's not using Facebook Live. Rather, he's focused on original video that is edited and shared. At first, I thought that was cool, just being able to start the broadcast. That part was great, but just content-wise, it's just tough looking at live video from a content perspective. You lose people's attention, Jacques said. As evident from the last 2 earnings calls, if Twitter executives don't want to talk about it to analysts and investors, then why is Periscope still around? Periscope continues to support a robust and vibrant community of live video creators, a Twitter spokesperson told Mashable. The spokesperson declined to elaborate how much longer that would be the case. Almost exactly a year ago, former Periscope CEO Kayvon Beckpower told Mashable that as long as people are broadcasting using the app and people are watching using the app, there's inherent value in it. Of course, we all know that wasn't the case with Twitter's other, now defunct video property, Vine. On top of this, more people, many of whom who were once prolific users on the platforms, are done tapping go live on Periscope. For example, Miller told Mashable last week he's over it. I have very low respect in regard to the leadership, he said. Waxman, however, is still streaming every night that he can at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you in the comments with dozens of other viewers. That's the end of the article. It answered a lot of questions for me, and I hope it answered some questions for you too, as to what's going on. You know, so what I take away from this is they're reporting that why isn't Periscope dead yet, which is something we hear around here all the time. It seems to come in cycles. Every time there's a little crisis, you start to see Periscope is dead, Periscope is dying, what are we going to do next? And then something changes and everybody stops talking about it for a while, and Periscope is, you know, it's cyclical. You know, something bad happens and it's dying. Something good happens, it's no more dying. Hi, Tina. So I hope that that you found something in there that answered some questions or enlightened you as to some of the things going on. There's bullying, there's child pornography, and the numbers they give are really alarming. Because, I mean, this article just came out 4 or 5 hours ago. I mean, it came out today. And like I said, if you would like to read a copy of it for yourself, I'll be happy to send you the link. Just send me a DM on Twitter and ask me for the link, and I'll be very happy to return the Twitter with the link in it. Wow, look at all that. Look at all this. All my friends are here. This is great. Oh, you're very welcome, Keith. Thank you for the super heart, Tina. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Ron. Yes, you're very welcome, Ron. Yes, thank you, Island Girl. And thank you all. I haven't been looking, but I assume thank you all for the hearts and the Ragnarok hammer hearts and the love hearts and the super hearts. Thank you for supporting. And thank you for tweeting and inviting your followers. Thank you for all of that great stuff. The time right now is 6:21, which, and it's 75 degrees in Boca Raton. That means the sunset tonight was at 6:09. So the sun set a while ago. That's why it's so dark out. But the sky is still pretty. That blue with the clouds running through it is still kind of pretty out there. I'm also thinking of posting this. I'm probably going to post this video up to YouTube. So if you wanted to see anything in it again, that would be fine. In addition to the, the replay that's here. Right, there is, I saw, I got into a conversation with someone today, and I was told Ron Waxman is bad because of this, this, and this, and he's bullying, and he's this, and he's that. And I said, well, if you're going to make claims like that, do you have evidence to support what you're talking about? Or are you just in a bad mood and talking about this? And so, hello, Tiffany. And this Tiffany Talks, this is the Tiffany that I read your tweet in the article. And Tiffany, if you want to see the article, and it has your tweet in it, I'll send you the link. Just give me a note on Twitter so that I know that you want it. And the same goes for everybody. Anybody wants the link to the article, just send me a DM on Twitter. Not a tweet, a DM. And I'll be happy to send you the link to the article. You can read it for yourself. You can print it out, whatever you like. It's all up to you. This replay will not be deleted. Well, this is what I mean. Different people say they have different evidence. I looked at somebody's evidence, and when I saw it, I did not agree with that evidence. In other words, Waxman was blamed for inciting bodily harm on certain scopers in particular. And I said, that's not the kind of thing I would really want to talk about with anybody if I didn't have ironclad proof. And if I did have ironclad proof, I'd be going to the police with it. Because that's not for Periscope to enforce. That's a police thing. Okay, hon, thank you for coming in. And I took a look at the evidence. Oh, thank you very much, hon. Thank you. I looked at the evidence, and I did not agree with it. What the evidence said to me was one of the viewers in Ron's scope said, I live in, and the name of the town where the person they're gonna, and I will go F him up. And apparently they live somewhere nearby the person that they're gonna quote unquote F up. That is not Ron saying go get him. That is a viewer getting caught up in the moment with enthusiasm, and his or her way of solving the problem was to go and do bodily harm. This was not Ron saying, you go and you do something to somebody. Ron did not say that. This was just this viewer volunteering that, which to me is not Ron's fault. I cannot, any more than I could control what any of you tell me on the screen. I'm not in control of any of you. And so for a couple of nights, I went and I listened to some of Ron's scopes after, I was on, I didn't actually go into the scope, it's got the autoplay feature and you can turn the sound on. So I didn't have to go into the scope to hear, because I was only going to listen a few minutes. And somebody did the same thing again. And what I heard Ron Waxman say, and what I've always heard him say is, absolutely not. Do not harm anybody. Do not deface or hurt anybody's property. We're not trying to hurt people. We're not trying to hurt their stuff. We're having a conversation about what is right and what is wrong. And I believe that these people, and Ron is telling people to not hurt anybody. And I've never heard Ron say to anyone, go and screw with them. I've never once heard Ron say anything that even comes close to that. Okay? So to me, that evidence that I was shown was not evidence at all. And it was non-interpreted. And I wouldn't, from that, believe that Ron is behind any of that. However, I have my own personal experience with Ron. Steve, that disclaimer by Ron is bullshit to cover. Well, Tiffany, that's your opinion. But I've been watching Ron's scopes for 2 years. And I have no reason to believe that he's other than genuine when he is telling people not to hurt anyone, not to do those kinds of things. And I have never seen or heard anything from Ron that would ever lead me to believe that he's out to get someone in that way. Okay? That's my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So I'm not, everybody, we're in an open, okay. You have evidence saying it's otherwise. Well, Tiffany, if you could show me some evidence, send me something on DM. I'd like to see what you're referring to, and I'd like to see it and make up my own mind. Okay? Because I'm not a kind of person that goes with the crowd on every little thing. And especially something as serious as this. I would like to see the evidence, and I'd like to make up my own mind. Okay? Okay, you like Ron, and you've never had a problem with him. That's Duty Ron. And Duty Ron is somebody that I know well enough, and I respect him and the work that he's done through his career. And I can tell you that if Duty Ron is behind someone, then to me that counts. That's a big thing in their favor. Because Ron's opinion to me carries weight. Okay? Well, that's up to you, Tiffany. But I'm saying is, if you want to show me evidence that would change my mind, I'm open to looking at it. That's all I'm going to say. And if you could send it to me on DM, I'll be happy to take a look at it. And if I change my mind, I'll come right here on Periscope and I'll talk about it. And it'll be me talking about it with my opinion, not your opinion. Okay? So it's not that I would never try to implicate you, because you have your opinion that might be different than mine, and it might be the same, but I'll speak with my own opinion. The other thing is, I do have experience with Ron during a time when Ron was going through something kind of difficult in his life, and he did something that I don't agree with. And at that time, I stopped watching Ron's scopes, and because I thought that although he may have had a partial excuse because he might not have been quite right for the thing he was going through, I thought that his reaction and what he did was kind of extreme for my taste. And I didn't like it. And I'm not going to say what it was. I'm not going to, nobody was killed or hurt or defaced based on it. But I'm just going to say is, I'm convinced for myself, but I'm not necessarily convinced enough to tell you what he did, because you might have a different opinion of it if you had gone through it yourself. So I don't want to taint that. So I have my opinion about Ron, but I really cannot believe, based on anything I've ever heard or seen from him, that he has ever been like, let's go and get these people and do them harm or deface their product. That is not anything even resembling close to anything I've ever heard from Ron Waxman. Okay? He may be guilty of other things, but he's not of that. Not that I know anything of. And now it's after 6:30. We've been out here closing in on an hour. So I'm going to go and get myself some dinner. And I want to thank you all for coming to the Scope. And, if you still have things you want to talk about, read the article first. And that might help you solidify, or it might change some of your opinions. Read the article first, and then I'll be happy to talk about it with you. In the meantime, take care. Have a great evening. And we'll see you all tomorrow. I'll be here scoping at 20 minutes before 6. Yeah, I'm not talking about anything that's illegal. I'm really not. 20 before 6 tomorrow, 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for coming to the Scope. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all your support. In the meantime, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.